Do you think Vancouver's a lonely city?
It is if you make it. So if you have the mindset that this city is lonely and everyone's keeping to themselves, then yeah, it would be a lonely city. But if you go out and do activities that you like and put the effort into meeting people, I think chances are you'll meet people.
Have you experienced the loneliness before?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I moved here 3 years ago and it took me about a year and a half to find friends and like real people that I connect with.
I feel that it is. I lived here on and off for about like 7 years, and then 2 years ago I moved to Toronto. But while I used to live here, I do feel like it definitely was one of the loneliest cities I've ever kind of been to. I don't think the weather helps. I feel like people are kind of siloed into their own pockets, so it definitely feels like a lonely city. I returned back after a year and a half, and it's still about the same. Like people are a bit too cliquey, aside from the ones I already know. So it's interesting how that kind of is the case for Vancouver. So I'd say yes, yeah.
We do believe Vancouver's a very lonely city. In fact, my dad, who lives in Calgary, and Calgary Flames versus Vancouver tonight, by the way, it's a hole, and a hole meaning it sucks you in. And there's so many people from so many different places here, and so many cultures, and so nobody trusts anybody. And it's really rare to find somebody that you might really kind of just connect with. And thank you for asking us questions, because that's how lonely I really am. I would rather talk to a camera than to myself, right?
To a certain degree, yeah, it can be a lonely city, especially in the winter, because it rains a lot. It's kind of gloomy, and like it's raining now, but it is what it is.
So if you think Vancouver is so lonely, why do you stay here?
Mostly friends, family, pretty much it. And it's a beautiful city. I like the city. It's probably one of the best cities in Canada, I think. I grew up in Toronto originally, but I've been out here over 20 years and never went back.
I do. I think that, well, I've been here for 5 years, that's context. And in those 5 years, COVID was 3 years of that. So that was already in itself, like, take my answer with a grain of salt, I guess. But I think of people wherever, like across the planet, there's different depths of friendships that you can have. One, let's say, for example, one is an acquaintance, someone you're meeting for the first time. You really click, you love the energy, it's like you guys are gelling. Okay, cool, level 1 friend. And then you have those level 5 friends that know your soul, that you've known since maybe you were a baby and you've grown up with them here and there, not maybe like that best friend you have. And moving to a new city or growing up here, you're always trying to find that person that knows your soul. You don't have to explain things twice as long to them or whatever. And in Vancouver, you have so many different external circumstances that make it hard to find that level 5 friend. Like, it's so expensive. You've got people living in North Vancouver and then Richmond, and it takes 2 hours to see each other. You've got the traffic issue or transit or not having a car, and then it's an hour or 2 hours to meet up at a place where you have to pay more money to sit down at a table and then tip on top of that, and then go back home to pay extraordinary rent prices and then your groceries on top of that. And then that time that you spent going to see a friend, you could have been working to earn more money to survive in this city. So all these different extenuating circumstances make it so much harder and so much easier for it to be a lonely city. And yes, people say you can put the effort into putting yourself out there.
But you have to make so much more effort.
There's like a trade-off, exactly. And so that's why I think despite all the things that Vancouver does offer, it is ultimately lonely because of those circumstances. Thank you.
Do you think Vancouver is a lonely city?
I think it's not so lonely when you find a community. but then I think it's natural to want to find yourself outside of those communities. For me personally, I find it really difficult to not feel lonely when you have to put so much effort into sustaining friendships and connections, and that it's almost like dating where both parties have to put in as much effort into wanting to build and sustain that connection, and it's hard to find people who are willing to do that regardless if it's like romantic or platonic.
So I have a lot of friends and family that live here, so it's a very familiar place, and I have a lot of connections through a whole life lived. But it is also a lonely city, and I think a big part of that is the cost of living here really requires you to constantly be working all the time, especially for young people like us. A lot of friends that work 2 or 3 jobs, and you try to make plans with somebody, and it's impossible because you're all working like 500 jobs all at once. So I think this is where the loneliness is for me, is that we're all kind of stuck in this grind to survive in the city. There's no time to enjoy being here.
I think in some instances it can be a lonely city for maybe young people, coming into new to the city. I think people are very focused on their own activities, whether it's going skiing or hiking or, and less so on the sort of more communal, gatherings and get-togethers. So I think from that perspective, it could be lonely for some.
No, actually, here's difficult to say. I mean, loneliness is not about city, it's more about us, what we feel inside of us. So, I think a lot of people right now have this kind of problem about loneliness. It doesn't matter where you live, in London or in Vancouver or in US or whatever. But what I want to say, yeah, it's always about inside. It's work from inside. And right now a lot of people just spend, I would say, a lot of time in social media, and we just used to have like online connection with the people, and we start to have like a less and less real connection. It's bothered me, and I would say a lot of people around the world.
I think it can be. I've been fine with it, but I grew up here and have some level of means. I think if you're new here and maybe don't have family support or I guess a good circle of friends, it definitely can be. I think there's other cities out there that probably offer more for less.
Do you think Vancouver is a lonely city?
No, I don't think so, because here's people is so kind and friendly. When I'm studying English and I don't have like good English skill, but they teach for me the English, and if I have so many questions, they teach me so many English words. I think here has so good people, and I think here is good place, no lonely city.
No, Vancouver is very lovely city, and you can enjoy here with nature, with people, with so many natural beauty that we have. We have water, we have mountains, and it's very beautiful from air quality point of view also.
I have heard that people have experienced that, but for me, it hasn't been that case.
Have you grown up here? Or?
No, I actually moved here 2 years ago.
And how did you make friends?
No, I guess friends of friends, and then I just I stole friends from people who I knew. You have to make my own friends.
No, I don't think so. Because I'm Japanese and I lived in Vancouver for 1 year now, and I met many people, like of course Japanese and other Asian countries, Mexican and of course Canadians, and everyone's so sweet, so nice to me. So that's why I don't feel lonely in Vancouver.
Definitely not. I love the place and it's in no way lonely.
You said you're not from here.
I am not from here. I am actually a university student in Ontario, so I live in Waterloo, which is a lonely city. Definitely not Vancouver. Like I know I have to go back in January, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna manage to do that going back from Vancouver.
I would say it's not a lonely city. I think I understand why people say it. I grew up in the prairies, which are notoriously very friendly cities. I think there's a lot of ways to meet people here, though. You just got to go out of your way to do it. It's easy to blame the city on being lonely, but I think you just got to get uncomfortable, go meet people, and find hobbies. I think there's a lot of people out there looking for friends. You just got to go find them.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi. Okay, so Katie here is interviewing me, and she goes around Vancouver to find interesting places and things and people, and I'm hoping I'm one of them. I play on Granville Street, usually on Friday and Saturday nights. My name is Wendy Gaspard, and go to Granville, to the Roxy. Right beside there, I'm on the street. But not only that, you guys, this is a great city. And yes, it's lonely, but not so much when you're out and about. Thank you, Katie. So I say, Vancouver might be a little bit less lonely if there are more people like Katie. Subscribe to her channel. Do it today. Thumbs up.